Hi, everyone. Welcome to our session. I'm seeing some names. I'm just going to throw them out. I may or may not know who you are. I see Selena. I see Gurneet, Lorraine Huntley. That's a name I recognize. Same with Selena. Nipissing University Student Union. Hello. Theo Brown. Embark Sustainability. Who else do we have? Nicole Pin. Hello, Nicole Pin. We know Nicole Pin. Hello, Marie Jose. People's Potato. Love the name. We're going to get started in just a minute. I'm just going to let some more people come in. People's Potato, you are welcome. We're guessing that you're from PEI. Is that true? Aaron Phillips. Oh, we're a good security organization in Montreal. We were food security organization in Montreal. We were very wrong, everybody. Okay. Good guess. So yeah, thank you. That wasn't my guess, but I will take full credit since it was wrong. All right, it doesn't look like we have any more people in the waiting room, so I'll just get started. It'll just be housekeeping anyways. Hi, Bridget, I just saw you come on camera. Hi. All right, so good afternoon or good morning to everybody, depending on where you're joining us from. I'm excited to welcome you to today's session of the Promoting Food Security in Higher Education virtual conference. Today, we're going to be learning about good food on campus, and we're going to be talking with some very knowledgeable people from campus food service departments who carry very different roles. And I will let them introduce themselves in just a moment. But first, for myself, I'm your host. I'm going to be one of your moderators today. My name is Leanna Bontempo. I work at McMaster University in Hamilton, Ontario as the Wellness and Sustainability Manager for a campus hospitality department. I'm also a member of the Promoting Food Security in Higher Education team. And today I have Abir Ahmad with us as one of my co-moderators. So I'm just going to ask Abir to wave to us. Hey, Abir. I met Abir while she was a fellow with the McMaster Health Forum, and she was working on a student brief on student food security at McMaster called Everyone at the Table, Strengthening Efforts to Support Student Food Security. She is an alumni now. She's a Bachelor of Health Science alum at McMaster and is currently a research assistant at the McMaster Health Forum, which is a health and social systems policy group. And I'm sure if you ask nicely, she'd be willing to send you that report she worked so hard on. She's also, fun fact, joining us today from the Yukon. So way up north. If there's any other people from up north or Yukon, let us know in the chat. She'll be happy that you're on here with her. And before we keep going, I would also like to acknowledge that I'm joining you all today on the traditional territory shared between the Haudenosaunee Confederacy and the Anishinaabe Nations, which was acknowledged in the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt. And that wampum belt uses the symbolism of a dish to represent the territory and one spoon to represent that people are to share the resources of the land and only take what they need. And if anyone was at the Indigenous Food Sovereignty session, that I also had the fortune of hosting, you'll remember that Adrienne Xavier encouraged us to put ourselves into our land acknowledgement. So I'm going to do that today. So to me, the Dish with One Spoon Wampum carries an important message that I try to bring throughout my relationship with food. So for me, that looks like I only try to buy what I need, I try to minimize waste. And I grew up with the notion that food was fun. It was meant to be shared with friends and family. And I also think that this is incredibly important when we talk about food procurement on campus and food services, which we're going to be talking about today. I also want to recognize that you are joining us today from many different places, and I want to acknowledge the traditional owners and caretakers of those lands. Abir and I also want to hear about your food experience, and this is something else I borrowed from Adrienne. So in the chat, we'd love to hear your favorite food and how you came to it. That's the part we learned from Adrienne. Was it travels? Was it food? Was it school? So I'm going to ask Abir first. Everyone else can start typing in the chat. Abir, what's your favorite food or meal and how'd you come to it?
Oh, it's a tricky one. I'm a food lover, so like anything goes. But I would say there's something called halwa in my traditional South Asian cuisine. And it's basically a dessert. It's made out of different flour with sugar and milk and butter. It's super great. And I learned about it with my grandma, and I have some really great memories with my grandparents eating halwa.
My favorite meal is tacos, and I think I came to them firstly. Nicole's also really into tacos lately. Nicole, how did you come to them? I think I came to tacos like with the traditional like taco night. It wasn't like a traditional taco by any means, but it like encouraged me to explore traditional tacos, and now I'm like super into them. Collins is stuffed peppers that he got from his mom. Marie Jose wins the taco contest. Al Pastor tacos from visiting Oaxaca, Mexico. Very jealous. We have Greek salad, no lettuce. So is it just cucumbers and tomatoes? From Germany. Sheep's cheese. Okay, let's get some more coming in here. Fried rice. Tomatoes. No recipe required. Very true. Okay, we've got a lot coming in here. Chris Roberts, bacon and butter, family tradition. Ginger shot. All right. So I would love to see some more of those come into the chat. But as that's coming in, and I'm sorry if my voice keeps cutting in and out. Apparently that's my doom today, to have a voice fade away on me as I'm hosting a panel. But just a few housekeeping pieces is, if you are experiencing any audio or video issues, please let us know in the chat. We have a tech person, Aya, with us today, who's going to help you out. You can have your video on or off. The audience members will be muted. And I would also suggest that everybody puts their viewing on speaker view, so that way you can see the panelists more clearly. Also, we are going to be recording this event. It is currently being recorded already. So if you do not want your name to appear, just feel free to change your name. Just hover over the three dots that are in the top right corner, and you can rename yourself to whatever name you would like. What else do I have to do for housekeeping? Because this is being recorded, it will be available later on YouTube if anybody wants to go back and watch anything, if they missed anything. And the last piece is that throughout the session, if you have any other questions that are unrelated to tech or audio questions for our panelists, feel free to type them in the chat. I keep gesturing down because it's at the bottom of your screen or in the bottom right. And Abir and I will be moderating the chat, and we will ask our panelists those questions for you at the very end. So there will be time and we will get to them. I promise. All right, so we're gonna jump right into it, and we're gonna get our panelists to come on to the virtual stage. And my first question for them is, hello panelists. Could you introduce yourselves and tell us what the role of food services is at your post-secondary institution? And I'm going to throw it to Colin first.
Hi, good morning. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here. I'm the food services director here at the University of British Columbia. And on a busy day, we interact with about 30,000 customers and hope to get back to that soon. We run sort of four main businesses at UBC: a residence dining business, a retail business, a catering business, and restaurants. We have close to 800 employees, and important to note that 200 of them are students, and typically. We're proudly self-operated, and we're one of many, but probably the largest F&B operator at UBC. When it comes to our role, I think for me, I always start with our vision, and our vision is to enable and inspire a lifetime of healthy eating. And for me, that really speaks to the impact we want and can have that goes well beyond feeding people. We're in a very unique position within an academic environment where younger people learn and grow and establish life habits, and we can have a lasting ripple effect on their lives through healthy eating and what we do. So I think that's really our core role. We do that by providing many opportunities and experiences on campus. And I think it's also important to recognize our core role as a business. We're an ancillary business at UBC within the university, and the university relies on us for a dividend that goes to support the student experience. So, I think that's also a critical, important part of our role as a business. We've got a whole set of about 16 values that guide our decisions, and I won't go into those now, but they're complex, and I look forward to our conversation today. So welcome.
Thanks, Colin. Let's go to Gord, please. Could you introduce yourself?
Thanks, Leanna. Hello, everybody. Thanks for taking some time to join us today. My name is Gord Coolidge, and I'm the Senior Manager of Culinary Operations and Purchasing for McMaster University. I have a background as a chef, and I've been executive chef at 3 universities in the past. So I have a kind of a good overall knowledge of what goes on, not only here at McMaster, but at other universities as well. For our role at McMaster, we are hospitality services, so we feed a lot of people. That kind of goes without saying. But it's what we feed them that makes it so special, if you will. We concentrate always on quality ingredients. We support the university's greater strategic plan as far as health and nutrition on campus, supporting the students in diversity, supporting sustainability. We're always looking at ways of improving what we do in all these categories. And as Colin said, we are also one of the largest employers on campus, employing many students and staff alike. So thank you for coming, and looking forward to the discussions today.
Thanks, Gord. Mary, hello, Mary, your turn.
Good afternoon. My name is Mary Baxter, and I manage the food and conference services at Algonquin College in Ottawa, Ontario. The food services at the Ottawa campus is self-operated, and it falls within campus services. We manage 7 retail locations, catering, banquet, conferences, and events. 2 of our retail locations are externally branded, and the others are internally branded. And on campus, we work with our Students Association, who also operate 2 locations on the Ottawa campus. Typically, we have about approximately 20,000 full-time enrolled students across the 3 campuses. We have another campus in Pembroke and Perth. And food service operates on the Ottawa campus about 13,000 transactions a day prior to COVID. There is a very limited residence population, so we have a significant commuter population. Our sort of vision for campus services is to enhance campus life and making it simpler and more enjoyable so students can focus on achieving success. And that ties into the Algonquin College mission of transforming hopes and dreams into lifelong success. And to do this, within our sort of departmental strategic plan, we have 5 guiding principles. And those are the principles that we measure any decisions or programs against, which is learner driven. We put the students first. People, we engage our people. Innovation and quality, we add value to the student experience. Sustainable, we are socially, environmentally, and financially sustainable, similar to the other universities and colleges within that are self-operated. We contribute back to the college financially. And connected, we have strong relationships with our stakeholders. So what we really want to do is assist the college in retaining students, increasing morale of the entire college campus, and enhance student life by providing sort of well-balanced nutritional food options to the entire community. And our structure is really focused on fresh preparation and production, ensuring quality products are available. So that's a quick summary of food services at Algonquin College.
Thanks, Mary. Thanks for coming today. And last but certainly not least is Mark Kennedy.
Hi, everybody. Good morning and good afternoon. My name is Mark Kennedy. I'm working at the University of Guelph. We're a self-operated school, 23,000 community members, 20 locations on campus, including our conference and catering department. I'm going to date myself. I've been here for 25 years. The past 15 years has been in procurement. I also have the fun of being the marketing communications manager for our department, and I also take care of the sustainability initiatives that we do. I grew up in the restaurant business, working in kitchens, excellent cook, local food ambassador. First plug of the day, I need more followers because Twitter won't let me follow more people yet. So at 100 mile mark, if you want to give me a follow, I can follow some more people.
I didn't know there was a cap on Twitter followers. Like if
it's
you
5,000, unfortunately, but anyway.
Oh.
So, but what you'll see there is that I'm passionate about food and farmers and chefs. And my goal really, whether it's personally or on campus, is to educate people about food, about the values of food, and promote those locally that go the extra mile so you don't have to. The university tagline is improve life, and I think that's exactly what we do. Another little quick promo I'm going to say is for 16 other universities in Canada. I got the privilege to work on a project for the Toronto Star recently, headed by ag journalist Owen Roberts. It's a 16-story feature called Cooking by Degrees. It's free to read. It's a series of university and college chefs from across the country, providing stories about their farmers, their campus food services, and recipes using Canada beef. It's the first series. It is really a great expose from 16 different chefs across the country. So I urge you to take a look at that. And I'm actually looking forward to speaking with everybody today and answering whatever questions come up.
Well, it's certainly great to have panelists with such a diverse experience in food services and from different parts of Canada. The next question we have is a little bit from the student perspective. So students often ask the question, why is food so expensive on campus? And I'm wondering, can you explain what goes into the cost of food on campus and pricing? We'll start with Gord.
So that's an interesting statement. And yes, we hear it all the time. But the food on our campus and on most campuses, again, I've been around to some of the other ones, it's not that expensive when you look at what's outside in the local restaurants. So we always do market surveys to see what the prices are like at the nearby restaurants in our communities, as well as at other universities across Canada to create the benchmark and make sure that we are staying within an affordable range. But we also have to look at what goes into the cost of the food and why we set our prices the way we do. First of all, as Colin mentioned, I think all of us give return to the university some money back to the university for being there. So they depend on us for some revenue as well. But the food actually costs us what it costs us because of the quality that we use. We use, for instance, here at McMaster, we use a chicken breast that is always fresh. It's halal. It's from a local purveyor, so that costs us a little bit more. Our burgers are 100% ground beef. There's no filler. There's no um, additives into it whatsoever. So that costs money, but we believe that quality is most important. On top of that, we try to stay with what's local and what's on trend. So trying to keep up with the restaurants so that the students can enjoy the food that they want and not just something that was the cheapest thing out there. On top of the cost of the food, then comes into our labor costs. As I mentioned before, we have a huge staff that it takes to run and feed as many people as we feed in a day. And we're committed to making sure that our employees get a living wage, and we need to take care of them. We have a responsibility to them as well. So our labor cost is quite massive for an operation our size. On top of that, we have costs for packaging and supplies. And again, as in most universities, we use anything compostable wherever possible, and that costs us a little bit more. In the last year, we've eliminated straws, but we've switched over to compostable cutlery and food packaging, so that costs a little bit more as well. On top of that, there's the overall overhead that anybody would understand: heat and hydro, and delivery costs, et cetera, et cetera. So quite a lot goes into the food that we actually offer, and so there's a price to pay for that. But again, quality service, quality food, local, sustainable. It comes at a cost, but we work very hard to keep it as low as we can. Thank you.
Well, it's great to hear. Thank you for that, Gord. It sounds like there's a number of factors that kind of go behind that pricing. Mark Kenny, I'm wondering whether you could follow up with that, have anything to add?
Well, anybody who knows me knows I always have something to add. I do agree with Gord 100%. It's typically a third, although labor these days is not so much a third anymore. But yeah, I mean, the amount of people we need to employ to serve food to 23,000 people at one school per day, obviously it's a ton. I mean, unfortunately, due to COVID, we had to lay off probably about 600 to 700 part-time staff. But with a university not operating, that's one of the unfortunate pieces of COVID. And one of the hardest things is going to be to get those people back, because they've either A, moved on, or B, whatever the case may be. But trying to bring back the university to what we were before, it's going to be difficult. As Gord said, first of all, food costs. Most schools in Canada buy from a broadline distributor. A lot of us buy directly from local producers as well. So they don't have, the smaller producers don't have the economies of scale when you're dealing with a big Cisco or a GFS or something, who do have economies of scale. Food also, here at Guelph anyway, food also costs include paper and cleaning products, dishwashing chemicals, cleaning supplies, and all those things go up every year in price, anywhere from 3 to 8 to plastics right now. If you're having to buy takeout containers, are going up 30%. So the massive spike in the cost in the industry right now, especially not because of COVID, but what's happened out there is that there's limited supply on a number of items. So just as hard as it's going to be to get staffing back, it's also going to take 6 months, which is starting now, for suppliers to ramp up production from raw ingredients to finished product if you're buying a value-added product. So, and their costs are going to go up as well. Canadian Dairy Commission always puts the cost of dairy up twice a year. We have to, if you think of how many Starbucks, Tim's, coffee shops, drinks have dairy in them, and how many of those we serve a day, times 3 times a day, like it's the sheer volume of product that we're using. And when something like dairy goes up by 3% twice a year, it affects the end user cost. As Gord said, quality food costs money. You know, we're not interested in buying the cheapest possible product out there because it's not the best. We have Red Seal trained chefs on our campuses. A Red Seal trained chef does not want to serve the cheapest cut of meat possible. It's not going to be good on the plate. And it's just not something that we would do. So, you know, would a student want to pay less for their university degree if it meant getting a crummy education? But because it was cheap? No. You'd want to have the best education possible. So when you go out into the world to take on a career, you have every piece of knowledge you possibly can have. So we kind of look at it that way, that we, you know, start with really good quality, you're going to end up with really good quality. Overhead cost, Gord mentioned it a little bit, but some things that you may not consider is, think of it as, what does it cost you to run your restaurant? Power, storage, rent, buying equipment, buying linen for your tables, for conference and catering, chef uniform rental services, advertising, the accounting people you need, the insurance people you need, repairs, a lot of them constantly, computer systems. We have 140 registers on campus that need someone to take care of that every single day. So those overhead costs come into the overall price. As Gord said, labor costs, it's straight up cost to pay our employees a living wage, their benefits. You know, we have part-time, we have union staff. It's a whole gamut of people that we employ on campuses. So you can't operate a food service department serving 23,000 of people a day without chefs, dishwashers, porters, managers, assistant managers, nighttime supervisors, a marketing team, truck drivers, catering staff, the IT department, payroll staff, bookstore staff, receivers. I mean, all that, and that all is in the cost of the food, don't forget, because it's overhead for us, right? So it's not about, it's like Gord says, and Gord was here at Guelph at one time, we always believe putting the best quality food on the plate was the most important thing. So that does cost money. You know, if you want low quality, you know, sure, go to KFC, but whatever. Yes, we have a KFC on campus because, again, we offer choice, and that's a choice that people want. So there are so many costs that I think people don't realize, and I think that's what we're here to sort of say, have you ever thought of it this way, and why food has to be expensive or not expensive in some cases on campus? That was all I had.
Thank you for that, Mark Kenny. We'll pass it on to Colin. Any final comments?
Well done, Mark and Gord. You covered a lot, but I love this question, so I will have a couple of comments. And I worked in the business for 40 years. No one's ever told me our prices are too low. And I suspect that's going to continue. So it doesn't surprise me. Look, we all have great quality ingredients. We all purchase locally. One of our biggest produce suppliers is our own UBC local organic farm. We are proud of the culinary excellence that we have on campus and the food we provide. We have an amazing culinary apprenticeship program, best in the business. But look, labor's our biggest cost. We're very proud that we pay a living wage. That's not seen in our business much, and that's great. But I agree. I disagree with the question. I think you know, our menu prices are indexed at or below, in many cases, equivalent items that you will see in other restaurants. And there's many examples of that in all universities. The other thing I would say is, look, our customers tell us they want national brands. We operate 7 national brands as a franchise, and those prices are exactly the same as they'll see anywhere else. So, you know, it's a tough one. For some reason, there's still a notion that food at university should be below market or subsidized. And, you know, I suspect we're going to be talking about that for a long time still. So thank you.
Thanks, Colin. Everybody had really good points there, and some great chat is coming through, and I'm loving that. But my question is, what initiatives or strategies has your department been a part of to support your institution's work towards food security? And the second part to that question is, how do you see food services fitting in in terms of responsibility towards food security. So I'm going to ask Mary to start, and then we'll follow up with Colin and Gord. Mary.
Thanks, Leanna. So at the Ottawa campus, the most visible sort of support and initiatives on campus is actually operated by the Students Association, the Algonquin College Students Association. It operates the campus food cupboard. And this is the most formal of the service for those that are in immediate need. And we assist in food drives through our regular operations, gathering products, donations, committing events to donate financially towards that program. Unfortunately, based on public health requirements, the service is limited to prepackaged items and financial donations. And as we are very focused on production and utilizing fresh products, we have a butcher on site. So, we don't necessarily buy individually prepackaged items in a significant amount. Many of our prepared products aren't available to be used through that service. So, a good example, when COVID first hit, all our fridges were full of fresh product. So we worked closely with the Ottawa Mission to prepare for these prepared and fresh and or unpackaged products so that they could use them immediately. Food Services also partners with different departments to assist on individual basis through financial services and student support services. And this often takes format of extending meal plans, sometimes sort of supported student meal plans and or until the funding is found for these students that are in ongoing need. And we actively sort of develop a range of prices. It was sort of talked about in the last question of, making sure that there's a range of budgets, but also a range of nutritious items on campus to identify different budget sensitivities. We're focused on making sure there isn't just high-priced options on campus and that there's value options also. And some of that is, we have a location called the Chef's Choice Selection, which offers full meals, multiple options that are all under $8 that are nutritionally balanced. And then we really focus on trying to keep the prices as low as possible without affecting quality. Focus on production numbers and waste is a big impact on that piece. With the second part, how do you see food services fitting in terms of responsibility? I feel that we are definitely a piece of the puzzle. I think we have some value in RFPs. Our department manages a lot of the contracts on campus and really integrating how we can involve the well-being of students into those RFPs is an interesting sort of direction to go in. We are also self-funded, and all profits from our operation, budgeted and any additional, are returned to the college to assist in college operations. That where that contribution is directed to is not specific, but I think anything's really possible depending on college priorities. And I think the opportunity to partner with food insecurity and departments that serve the student, there's great opportunity there, especially as we return back to campus, to really identify what would make the greatest impact throughout the campus, not specific to one area.
Thanks, Mary. Colin, would you like to follow up? Then I'll pass it to Gord.
Sure. A few thoughts. Look, no secret, food security has been brought to the forefront during COVID. It was always there, but it really has become something that we need to get at. I think at UBC, there's many things. People ask me how much time I spend on this a week, and it's many hours. And we do have a food recovery a program strategy, and that first and foremost, we try and reduce waste at source, because we know reducing waste is one of the best ways to get at more food in the system for people. But we don't want to overproduce. When we do, we want to feed other people and offer that food to other organizations. Failing that, it goes to compost. But like Mary said, supporting emergency food relief is the top priority. We know it's not the answer, but it's a necessary evil, and that we have to support, whether that's through our student food bank. There was quite an organic community level food hamper program that started up at UBC that we've also been supporting in the past year. We work very closely and provide leadership on at UBC on what's called the Food Security Initiative, which I think many people know about. And the initiative is all about understanding food security, alleviating immediate pressure, and knowledge exchange, which is part of what we're doing today. We're also very involved with the UBC Wellbeing Framework, which I'll talk a little bit more in another question, but part of that framework is food and nutrition, and part of that committee is getting at food security. We operate socially sustainable locations that are a retail location called Food, and there's a number of other locations on campus operated by the Student Association that work with volunteer labor. There's a lot that we do, a lot of education through our culinary teams, through our dietitians. And then, the connection for food security is hardwired into our food values. So there's a lot, I would say, and there's
Yes.
a lot more we can do.
Yes, there is a lot. But I'll throw it to Gord for final comments about what McMaster is doing and how you feel that McMaster's hospitality services fits into the campus action towards food security.
So no secret that food security is a huge issue, and it's going to take everybody working together to alleviate and one day hopefully solve that issue. Here at McMaster, we have a couple of initiatives that we champion. One is a Pay It Forward program with Cards of Humanity. So it's an opportunity for someone to pay a little extra at the cash and donate into the Cards for Humanity program. And then when somebody's a little short, they can take advantage of the kitty, if you will, and have some of their food paid for in that system. It's a great way to get everybody involved. It raises awareness as well as helps out the people who are in need. Another thing that we do, obviously, with our food pricing, we have some items that are more on the expensive side for a dinner or for a lunch. We have some in a medium range and then some in a lower range. So having all those levels of pricing and meals of different value helps to give options to people who can't afford something that's more expensive. It's just part of our strategy. And then we also have what we call signature meals available in our larger units, where we have different meals that are priced at $5 flat rate, so that it's more affordable for someone who needs it, and that's open to everyone. So there's no stigma attached there. It's a good option for somebody who's looking to save some money. Food, as was mentioned before, food waste is always a big area of concern in our kitchens, and our chefs are all trained, and it's part of the DNA of a chef to respect the food and save it and not send it off to waste. Food composting is a good use of leftover food, maybe, but it's always a slight failure when food actually makes it to the compost and doesn't get properly consumed. So it's something we work hard at avoiding. As far as the responsibility in the future and how we fit into food security as food services, as hospitality services, we have a huge responsibility in being part of that. Absolutely. We have a lot of purchasing power. We have a lot of expertise that can put in towards that the solutions there and be involved. And we try to do that wherever we can. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I must say, as a former student, it's certainly great to hear about all these different services that are available to support students in some capacity. Our next question is about good food. So what does good food mean to your specific food security, food services department? My apologies. I'll pass it on to Mark Kenny first.
Thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to just quickly reiterate something Gord had mentioned about food waste. Yes, all the chefs are trained to be mindful of food waste. And I think we're also working on many programs at Guelph that are similar to McMaster, with the food bank and the volunteers, and having anonymous donation, so that students who are in need, or anyone who is in need for that matter, can go to our units and get something to eat. There's all kinds of ways to do it. We're looking at a couple of different sort of retail options where we're going to partner with some local coffee producers who portions of the proceeds will go back to the food bank. We're trying to figure out this sort of a model on an app where you can sort of pay it forward using an app every time you buy something to eat. So you can choose to do that, or you can choose not to do that. There's all kinds of programs that, just over the years, we've been hearing more and more things about how to do it, because it's not necessarily something that normally at Guelph, for example, the food bank has always been run by the CSA with volunteers. One of the things that we do help procurement wise is the food banks tack on to our buying power. I think Gord mentioned that, so that they don't have to buy from Costco's or retail products. They can actually buy same wholesale pricing that we get, so that their purchasing dollars go further. So if they're getting donations, whatever it may be, or if people are donating through this app or whatever, they actually can buy more food than they normally would be able to. I don't know if that's something that everybody's doing, but it's just a little thing we're doing here. And what does good food mean to us? I mean, really, as I said before, it's putting the best possible food on the plate. There was a comment I saw in the chat, was by DT, I think it was Dan. And just to speak to that was, yeah, not everything we put on the plate is expensive, but we want to have, there needs to be a balance. His comment was basically the amount of cost increase that we're going to see coming up to September, yes, is going to be huge. And how are we going to manage that? We actually run a cooperative buying group between 16 universities in Canada, so we can try and get the best possible value out of certain products that maybe are more expensive. And perhaps some of that could go back into a food bank type of situation. I know that in COVID, when we shut down, I think we donated about $150,000 worth of food that would have otherwise gone to waste. We actually do make meals on campus, as Gord said, they do, from various different products. And we do donate food out to food banks in the city, not specifically the food bank on campus, but to spread it around. So I think it's, yes, we have to manage our costs for sure, so that we're not, we're not out of the ballpark cost wise. And, we hold ourselves to a high standard in the culinary community. A lot of the, everybody these days wants to be a Food Network TV chef star, but I think a lot of the rock stars in the chef world are in our own kitchens. Not everybody knows about it. That's one of the reasons we did that, the Canada Beef series. And they don't always want that, they want to do good work and put good food on a plate, and that makes them happy. So, that's important. You have to be at your job. You're here for however many hours a day. So you've got to feel that you're doing something good for somebody else in your day. And I think a lot of that happens, especially when we get comments back from students, whether it be on social media, which is great now, or comment boards, or even just somebody coming by and saying thanks. It means something to get the communication the other way. I wish it was actually more. Sometimes we don't think that we get enough. But anyway, yeah, the feedback that we receive is key for making sure that we're doing the right things right. I think if you ask any Griffin alumni, they'll probably tell you that. So.
Great. I'll pass it on to Mary for final comments.
Yeah, to sort of add to what Mark was saying, good food is definitely not just about what gets put on the plate, but about how it gets put on the plate. The responsibility of the community, our employees and our students. It's a very engaged process, the sort of the culture within the department. We have a very engaged group of employees that understand their importance in the role in the student's educational journey. We know that they understand the impact that they have on the role to ensure student success. And many employees become extended family to these students for short periods of time and often guide them into being well balanced, not only in their nutritional needs, but also just as, support through their journey. So that's, to me, is part of offering good food to our environment. Another element is procurement processes. Mark had mentioned that also, who we are buying from. Do they have the same values and understanding of what our goal is for our students? What our vision is, there are expectations, and there's that balance of price, quality, and responsibility, and that takes a lot of effort and time when you're looking at it in a sort of balanced, viewpoint. So we worked diligently on local food procurement programming within our department. And that's been ongoing for the past couple of years. And part of that was getting to know the farmers, ensuring the well-being of the farmers also. So the site visits, that they understood our goal, having them come to the campus and speak to the students and share their approach to what is good food, what is sustainability from their sort of point of view. And it is really focusing on good quality, minimally processed products that are balanced, nutritious, well-priced, and that students enjoy, that continue to add value to our employees, our partners, students, and community altogether.
Thanks, Mary. And you kind of actually already touched on my next question for you all, which is, how do you decide on what food you offer to customers? So do you use any guides? Do you get feedback? Are you using the Canada's Food Guide, menus of change? What are you looking to? So I'm going to throw this to Gord first, and we'll have Mary and Mark follow up.
Thanks, Diana. Yeah, choosing what goes onto the menu is sometimes an exciting and a fun part of our jobs, but there's a lot of factors that go into what actually goes on the menu. Obviously, we do our very best to stay in touch with trends and make sure we are offering what students are looking for, what's out there. We talk to our students. We have a student dining committee that we talk to, and they bring back feedback, and we take that into consideration as well. We look at things like nutrition. Yes, we look at the Canada Food Guide and look to make sure that we have adequate numbers of grains and fruits and vegetables. We want that half fruits and vegetables, quarter grains, and quarter protein on our plate whenever we can. So we try to promote that and set menus up that lend themselves towards that. We're always looking for ways of reducing fried foods, et cetera, which are very popular on a university campus. Chicken fingers, they're one of the biggest sellers always, but we try to, we always offer those, but we try to offer good alternatives as well. We have targets for sustainability, local food purchasing, plant-based, diversity needs. So we love to sell, put on our menus comfort foods, but what is a comfort food to me may be something very different to somebody else. everybody has their own idea of comfort foods, depending on their background, depending on what the grandma used to cook. So we try to hit all those pieces as well, making sure that our food is representing our clientele and giving them what they need. So yeah, it's a lot of communication back and forth. Formally and informally, our chefs are always talking to our customers as well and taking comments from them. As we've mentioned previously, the cost is a big factor as well. So we offer what's available at a decent, at a reasonable cost, so that it's affordable. And religious needs, we always have halal food available in all our units. And then the dietary needs that need to be addressed as well and make sure we have available. And there's a lot of food allergies out there these days. And so we need to make sure we make menu choices that are safe for those with allergies as well. So all kinds of different factors, many different factors go into what goes onto the menu.
Yeah.
But those are some of them, yeah.
Thanks, Gord. And you know, as a dietitian and also your colleague, my heart sung when you said balanced plate. So I'm going to throw it to Mark Kenny to answer the same question.
Sure. And I'm going to just touch on something I saw in the chat, if that's okay, because I've seen it a couple times now. One thing that's clear, one thing I just want to make clear is that, so at Guelph anyway, the food security as a topic doesn't fall under hospitality as a department. So, but what does fall under us is the responsibility to make sure that we're doing something to help the greater good. Generally speaking, from my experience, food banks run on volunteer basis. There traditionally has not been a ton of support by way of money through their university. So that does need to change. But the things that we can do to help them really help them immensely. I know there's a few comments about, you know, do more sharing, do more this. Yeah, and we're all doing that. But it will take some time for sure, because our main focus is making sure people are fed the way that we have traditionally done it. But I 100% agree, there is this not traditional way of doing things that needs to be addressed. And we are the people to help. And I think you've heard today, there's a ton of things that people are doing on their campuses to do that. And deciding on what foods we offer. You know, if you think of it, we have a new customer every year in September who eat 5 to 7 days a week, 3 to 5 times a day. When they get here, first years, we have no idea what their taste preferences are. Not a clue. Like Gord says, we use trends to figure out, we use past history, but it does take us a little while to get to learn to know what people like. There is a ton of food dietary restrictions and that sort of thing to deal with, which is fine. We're all trained in that. We know how to do it, but it does take time. Comfort foods are huge. Yep, Gord, you hit it right on the head. Chicken fingers are one of the most popular items. You know what? We can buy local Ontario chicken fingers. So that is one good thing about the chicken finger market. We have to have a complex range of dishes to feed the different preferences. So, but the beauty of having chefs, I think at one point we had about 14 different nationalities of chefs on our campus, which really showed on the plate. You know, they bring, as Gord said, you know, what your grandmother made, they bring that dish to our plates on campus. And I think that's really a key thing. And that goes into the meals that we do make for the food bank as well. So yes, following Canada's food guide, the trends, plant-based meals are a huge thing. It's funny that so many people are talking about plant-based food because we've all been doing it for years. We just didn't call it plant-based food. It was called vegetarian food and now vegan food, but it's, you know, one and the same. And look at your demographics. Guelph, generally speaking, is 60% female. So that changes what we actually serve in our food services as opposed to Western or UBC or whoever. So you have to look at the demographic that comes in to see exactly what you are going to serve. I mean, comfort food, everybody knows burgers and fries and all that stuff is comforting. But the hardest part, I think, of the chef's job is to figure out, how do we do culturally appropriate meals, dietary appropriate meals, and the most important thing is keep the variety up constantly. Because if you went to the same restaurant twice a week, every week downtown, you wouldn't order the same thing every day. So we need to, that's the key, having variety there and being able to do that well, I think is, but yeah, all those things Gord said, plus the trends.
Mary, do you have any final comments? I know you touched on this a little bit already.
Yeah, I think they've covered a lot of it. I think I'll just sort of emphasize that, you know, student feedback for our campus is sort of our key element. We have a very robust program. We measure our NPS, so the Net Promoter Score, and customer satisfaction, and we allow free flow comments that come to my cell phone so I can respond as quickly as possible to different requests and so forth. You know, and trends and what is happening in the industry is a key indicator. On our campus, at least, it also depends on which programming and what building really impacts what we offer. You know, who is our student? Each building can really be a community in itself, depending on the program that is being offered. Is the area graduate learners, nutrition or hospitality students, trades, apprenticeships? Does programs in specific buildings have a large commuter population, or those that live on campus? And then sort of different nationalities of our international community, who is coming to the campus also impacts our needs and the wants of our students, you know, based on sort of menu adjustments that we'll do based on halal, vegetarian, plant-based, allergens, current lifestyle choices. They all impact our menu development methodology.
Thanks, Mary.
Now, you've spoken about this a bit briefly already, but what are the strategies and existing practices that your university and food services department is pursuing to enhance student well-being? What are the targets and priorities? And we'll start off with Colin.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, another huge question, and I'll try and be brief, but touch on a couple of examples. The mentioned a little earlier, we're proud of the UBC Wellbeing framework that is a strategic, collaborative, system-wide effort from the university to make the university a better place to work and live and play and learn. And that framework is guided by the Okanagan Charter that we were one of the first signatories on in 2015. So, you know, that's the framework. There's 6 areas and that are part of that, priority areas that are part of that, 2, which I think we are very much involved with: the mental health and resilience priority area and the food and nutrition priority area. A couple of examples in there. We're actually just finishing up the first time we've completed the Not Myself Today program at UBC. It's been extremely successful through our food and nutrition group and in partnership with the Canadian Mental Health Association. It's actually their program, and we've seen a lot of participation in that and great comments. On the food and nutrition side, it's it's a nutrition month at UBC this month. There's a program called Nourish You, which has also been very popular with over 500 people using it as a way to get at improved nutrition for all of our customers. You know, within food and nutrition, we are focused on a healthy beverage initiative, again, leading many universities in trying to reduce sugary beverages, the prevalence of sugary beverages on campus, and reducing food security. So Our students are involved there. We have a food advisory committee also where the students are involved and certainly have input and leadership on their well-being. We have a menu nutrition platform called NutriSlice that we use for menus and nutritional information that allows customers, specifically in residence dining, to make really good informed decisions. And like many have mentioned, we promote predominantly plant-based diets because we know that's great for our customers' well-being. Not to mention it's great for the planet. So there's a few things to think about.
Well, that's great to hear. Mary, we'll pass it on to you next.
Sorry, trying to find that mute button. So yes, we have quite a few initiatives. It's a very large sort of question, and I don't think necessarily within food services we have specific targets. We definitely have priorities when we're talking about ensuring the well-being of students. And from a food service point of view, that is nutritious, well-balanced food options. I think from sort of a smaller viewpoint of, what was food services sort of able to transition in within the current environment with our well-being of students, really highlighted more now than ever. Their physical well-being from space design and services that we're offering and connecting to them digitally to discuss how to cook healthy, well-balanced meals when not on campus. We partner with health services, specifically during Nutrition Month also, but also throughout last summer, really going online to really understand menu development and eating healthy and purchasing on a budget, and sort of sharing some of our chef's knowledge with the students when they couldn't be physically on campus. And I think, it will sort of highlight when we sort of rethink how we reopen and how we regrow on our campus, really. What is our communication strategies? What are those partnerships with the overall college in focusing on food security and those in need? I think is there's lots of academic pieces that we can partner as well as services. Our college has a slide program, which is service, learning, and design and engineering, and they look to drive social change. So where can we really find some energy within students? How do we rebuild that community that is around food and sharing of food, and ensuring the well-being of our students through both, social, environmental, and our economic daily practices? So although not necessarily specific priorities, overall well-being has really been highlighted, at least on our campus, over the past little while. And I think it will gain some traction as the students return through sort of work integrated learning programs and mentoring. We have paid co-op placements. Many of these are offered to students who show academic, social, or financial need, and ingraining our service in the academic mission with the hopes that it positively influences some of the insecurities across our campus, not only just food.
Great. Gord, do you have any last thoughts to wrap that up?
Obviously echo what everybody else is saying about their initiatives. We've been really concentrating on making sure from the student wellness perspective that we have what the students are looking for. If you are a student with allergies and you go into the unit and you can't find anything you need, it can be very, very bad start to your day, let's say. So we've developed a concept called Simple, which has none of the top 10 allergens, which makes it a very easy choice for someone with allergies. They they will choose from the simple counter and know that they're safe and that their needs have been met. It takes some of the pressure out of making a choice for them. Supporting things like nutrition. Again, I mentioned before about making sure that we have that balanced plate. And Leanna is always available, our commentator here. She's our wellness manager, and she's always available to meet with the students as well. Give that one-on-one advice that's specific to their situation. Just making sure we have, dietary needs that are met every time they come to our units, be it religious needs, be it dietary needs, be it nutritional needs, just covering all those bases. Thanks.
Wonderful. So just before we wrap up, we have one last question for all of you. So how are you focusing on specific environmental issues, for example, reducing waste and energy consumption or local purchasing? And the follow-up question to that is, what does this look like, or what should it look like? So again, we'll start off with Gord again. Yeah.
So we've put a lot of effort into our local purchasing, our local purchasing strategy, I guess we'll call it, where we are purchasing currently about 39% local when it comes to vegetables and our produce, and we're always looking to increase by choosing the right menus, setting up the right menus to increase our local quotient. It's something I learned a long time ago from Mark Kenny on our panel here, and we've been pushing very hard on that ever since. We're setting some targets. We're currently doing an assessment of everything that we purchase and whether or not it's local, and looking at strategies to increase that. We're also in the beginning stages of doing an environmental assessment, a greenhouse gases assessment of all of our food purchasing at McMaster, to see where we stand currently, to set some targets and to increase what we do there. Compostables, I mentioned before, we have a complete compostable program, trying to eliminate any plastics, and we don't have plastic bags anymore. We've gone paper, et cetera, et cetera. And another thing that we're looking at right now is an equipment startup and shutdown schedule. It's very common for the chefs to come in the morning and turn on all the ovens so that they're hot and ready when they need them. But we're going to get a little more formalized about that, so that we don't waste energy in that way as well. So lots of initiatives like that going on. What should it look like? Everything needs to be measurable. Take a look at all of our targets with sustainability, measure it, and then improve upon it, and always look at ways to get better. So that's our strategy right now. Thank you.
Oh, did we lose a beer?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, there you go.
Southern Wi-Fi. It's not reliable up here. So we'll pass that on to Mark Kenny next.
Reiterating what Gord said, obviously, we've worked together for a few years, and here at Guelph. Right now, hashtag I am reusable is our premier campaign. Our tagline is reduce, reuse, rethink. In 2019, we moved the University Center, which is sort of a marché kind of place, to all china and reusable green containers, stainless steel cutlery. So we got rid of disposable plates, soup bowls, plastic bags, straws, all that kind of stuff. So the reduce part is to choose china and stainless steel, which is free. So sit down and enjoy a meal with somebody after COVID, of course, but sit down and enjoy a meal, talk to somebody, share, whatever. Reuse is join the green container program, which is $5. And then you just continually reuse a clean container every time you get a meal. And then rethink is to rethink your choice when you're going to take something out. So if you want to take a compostable bagasse container out, we charge you $1 in the hopes that they'll say, oh, $1. Well, I can just have a China plate for free. So I can tell you honestly, it doesn't always work. People still end up paying $1 for whatever the reason is, if they're not from campus and they're just stopping by quickly. But this was the first, we went through a year of trying that. Obviously at great expense, having to put in an entire new dishwashing facility, buy more China plates, buy more containers, all that kind of stuff. But it did get rid of all the landfill waste. We have a great little program called I Am Reusable for our water bottles and mugs, which I know everybody does. When you bring your own mug, you get the small coffee price. That's for coffee and for lattes, whatever. And then this one here, we've got a little scan that we had custom made on the top. So every time you fill a bottle or fill a mug or whatever, and you scan that, it tracks your usage on an app. This is from a company called Fill It Forward, who we're donating a cup of water for every time you filled your container. It's moving on to some other things that I'll be talking to everybody on the panel about probably next week. And we've already this year, in 2020, we've had 10,000 refills. So I thought we would have none, but it's actually going fairly well. We have double stamp cards on Mondays. We have a coffee to compost program with our composting team on campus from the sustainability office. Every coffee grind on this campus gets composted at our facility out by the organic farm. As I said before, another sustainability initiative that works together for food insecurity is trying to solve this. You buy this product, you're going to donate, or we're going to donate money to the food bank. And I know there was a comment to not call it a food bank, but that's what they call it. So anyway, so all these little initiatives, they take time to set up, but eventually we're going to get there with a lot of different programs. I think that's what it should look like. I know it doesn't right now, but everybody's doing something for the greater good. So, eventually in 2-3 years, I like the humanity card idea. So maybe we can pick up on that. And again, we all work together. We all meet a couple times a year. We're all friends. So these ideas all bounce around from university to university. And sometimes we can do things and sometimes we can't. So I think what it should look like is that we all just continue to work together like we have, and we'll make a big difference at the end of the day. So
great. Colin, we'll pass it off to you to wrap up in this last minute.
Great, there we go. I mentioned our food recovery program earlier. There's a well-established, sorted out system at UBC. We certainly have, we purchase 60% of our food locally, and while local purchasing doesn't have a huge environmental impact, we're definitely focused on increasing local purchases. Our focus on plant-based diet reduces greenhouse gas emissions associated with animal-based foods. We support the Climate Action Plan, which is a leading strategy, the Climate Action Plan 2030 at UBC. We're very involved in the 10 key actions in that. We're a zero waste leader at UBC. If necessary, we use recyclable or compostable single-use containers. We offer discount programs. We have a green to go reusable container program. We mandated paper straws in all locations and pushed hard, even with our franchise locations, to get that in place over the last year. We've implemented, again, leading in the province, a single-use cup charge for all single-use cups on campus, and container charges. And we've been participating in the mug share program on campus too. So lots and lots in this category.
Thanks, Colin. So before we do have a couple more minutes to get to everybody's chat questions. And before we do that, and while we're gathering our questions, I is going to throw up a poll for everybody. So you can give us direct feedback to how today's session went. You should see it pop on your screen. Here it is. So if you could just click one of the answers, that would be fantastic. Oh, we have a lot coming in, which is fabulous. Halfway there, just give it one more second. And Abir, I'm gonna let you take that first question if you'd like to ask it as people are voting right now, just so we can make sure we can get another question in.
Sorry, my Wi-Fi just cut out, but I'm assuming I'm going to be asking the first question.
Yeah, go ahead and ask that first question.
All right, great. So the first question we have is, what can higher education institutes and their food service portfolios do collaboratively to address food security and issues of affordability for students? So this is thinking specifically about the increasing cost of education, housing, and et cetera. And we'll pass that on to anyone who has anything to answer for that question.
I can answer from our perspective since I already mentioned it once. I think the thing that's needed is just more support. I mean, you can't run a program 100% on a volunteer basis. It just doesn't work. It hasn't worked here. I've never heard of it working anywhere else. Somebody needs to have resources behind. I mean, it's a big undertaking. You know, and volunteer being volunteer, it means when you have time. So I think that's one of the biggest keys is that from the president's office on down, there needs to be a commitment to support in some way, shape, or form, just like we're all doing, some way, shape, or form to decide that A, that is crucial, and B, to put some resources behind it. And I think that conversation's probably happening. Like other things on campuses, sometimes it takes a little while to get things done, but you know, we're certainly people who are behind the scenes who can make change, but we can't be the only ones to make the change. So I think it's coming.
Yeah, I think that's a great comment, Mark, and that speaks to, you know, what you all said at the beginning of this, is that you're a piece of the puzzle out of many puzzle pieces on campus. And, you know, there was some commentary in the chat that there's a lot of like impacting levels to food security that we know, like tuition, housing costs rising, or stagnant wages, especially for grad students. But I'm just seeing, is there any supports that you have that you can look to that, you know, aren't just volunteer positions? Is there anything going on? When you talk about support on campus, are there any supports that you're seeing currently? Probably not.
No. I mean, well, I know there's talk about it, but again, our mandate is to serve food.
Right.
So, you know, we can, like you said, we can be a piece of the puzzle, but we can't be the person who's putting the puzzle together.
Right.
We're just a piece, a big piece, yes, because we're in the food service business. But as I said, I think that needs to be a high level initiative. And as I say, yes, conversations are being had because we realize how important it is, and we're prepared to do more. It just, we need some more direction. That's all I think from.
And I want to take this time to give a plug to past sessions of this conference who spoke about exactly that how can you get the whole university working together? So if anybody's interested in that, go to UBC's YouTube channel and that session is there. Another question that I saw or chat come up, first of all, Marie-Jose says, may we put you in touch with our food services at U of Ottawa so that we can get better strategies and improve services. So that's great. But there was a piece in there about Chartwell. There was a lot of banter there. So could you all talk about, as leaders in CUFSA, the difference between being independent and a third-party contractor, and does that impact the food that goes onto your campus? Because I think sometimes there's this misunderstanding of maybe what a third-party contractor does. Anybody can take it, don't be shy. Colin, do you want to take it? Well,
Look, the short answer is absolutely it matters. We, as self-operated food providers on campus, we are hardwired to the vision, mission, value, goals of the university, and that means we're connected to sustainability plans. It means we're included to inclusion action plans, to indigenous strategic plans, to the food security initiative on campus. So I think it absolutely matters. And I don't want to speak for contract operators. I suppose they could be connected also, but yeah, we're a big part of that. Is it our core? Well, we're a big part of the academic mission. We collaborate with students and projects and departments all of the time. So it's critical to what we do. It's huge part of our DNA. That's what I would say to that.
awesome, thank you. Does anybody have anything they want to add to that? As CUFSA members? For anybody who doesn't know what CUFSA is, it's the Canadian College and University Food Services Association. No? Okay. Abir, why don't you take that last question?
Okay. So the last question is, what would be the cost savings to consumers if universities did not require their food service outlets to return a dividend to the universities? And there's another part. So what if food services were operated on a break-even basis? And as with the previous question, we'll leave that to anyone who's able to answer.
So I can answer just question on the break-even side. I mean, yes, we all have to contribute back to the university. We are considered a break-even operation. Something that people probably don't know is that if we need to build a new residence cafeteria or a new concept on campus, for example, here at Curlman Hall, it hadn't been renovated in 25 years. So if everybody's cool going into a pink and green 1980s food court, then that's okay. But we would prefer to do something a little more that follows along with what we put on the plate and our values and what we think things should look like. We have to pay for that. We have to take out a $2 million loan and actually pay that back. So costs are crucial, not only for food and for everything else that we do, but when we want to do something new to keep on top of being current, we have to physically pay for it and we have to manage that. So the university just doesn't hand us a check and say, go serve food. We have to balance all those inputs, the third costs, and come out at a zero balance at the end of the day. I can't really speak to how and why we have to give money to the university. That's not what I do. But departments that are revenue generating on campuses have to give money back to the universities to fund. And I suspect every university is a little bit different in that way. But yeah, again, it goes back to the costs, and just keep it in mind. There's so many things that most people would have no idea that we actually have to pay for. But we want to stay current. And would it save money in the long run? The money would just go somewhere else, right? I mean, if we want to put in, like I said, we want to put in a new dishwashing room so we can get rid of paper plates. That's $200,000. Like, stuff does not come cheap in our industry. Every time a piece of equipment breaks, it's thousands of dollars. So all those little things add up, just as much as wanting to put in a new program, like a scan program or anything. Somebody has to physically come up with the idea, figure it out, put it on paper, and make it actually happen in real time. And all that takes time and resources. So.
Thank you, Mark. And I think that question, and I think your answer, and what I think the main message was today is that food service operators have a lot of tensions. It's kind of what I heard today, is that there's a lot of tensions that you all experience, and different needs and responsibilities that you all have. And it sounds like to make change at an institutional level, there needs to be a very collaborative across campus approach when it comes to food security. So that's all the time that we really have today. I want to thank our panelists on behalf of our conference planning team. I'd like to thank you for your engagement today. I would also like to thank everyone in the chat for having such an active chat. That was wonderful. And I believe that Sarah posted a link to the YouTube channel in the chat, so feel free to check that out. And there are also more sessions left in the month of March. So thank you again, everyone, and we hope to see you at these other events. Bye.
Bye.
And good job, panelists.